Welcome to the Wealthy Woman's Podcast, a podcast for high-achieving women who are great at making money but struggle to build wealth. You'll learn how to take control of your money, increase your net worth, and make more. Ladies, it's time to create a life with more money and more freedom. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Today, I have a very special episode for you with my coaching colleague, Tracy Hoth. Tracy is a 16-year veteran professional organizer. She's also a certified life coach, and she's on a mission to empower you to take back your time. You all, this episode is going to help you tremendously. Here's what we discussed. First, we talked about her simple yet freeing definition of what it actually means to be organized. Hint, you're probably way more organized than you think you are. You'll also hear me coach myself on this topic in real time. Listen, I had so many epiphanies during this podcast recording, and you're going to hear me have them, and you're going to hear me coach myself through them. During the episode, Tracy also shares her 5 steps to organize any and everything. Listen, when you get to this part of the podcast, you'll want to take some notes if you're not driving because it is so good. Even if you're driving, you may want to pause it, pull over, write down these 5 steps because I'm telling you, these 5 steps can change everything. Again, like I said, I had so many aha moments and epiphanies during this episode, and I bet you will too. So let's go ahead and get to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited because I have another guest with me today. I told you all that I really wanted to start exposing you to more of my coaching colleagues who can help you in multiple areas of your life. And I have Tracy Hoth. She is a certified life coach and a professional organizer. And so today we're going to talk about how organization affects your wealth. And we're just going to go ahead and dive in. Tracy, are you there?
I'm here and so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy that you are here as well. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are?
Yes. So Tracy Hoth, my business is called Simply Squared Away. And I started my business back in 2008, helping people get organized in their home office. It was mostly home stuff. And so I've done that for 16 years, helped people organize their home and spoke on the topic of organization and productivity, and then brought in the whole mindset piece, getting certified with coaching in 2018. And just love all things organizing and love how it affects your entire life.
Absolutely. It really does. And we're going to talk about multiple areas of your life today, not just money, ladies. So, but of course, we've got to talk about money. But before we do that, can you just explain what it means to be organized? I mean, I think we throw that word around a lot. And I shared with you that sometimes I look at myself like in certain areas I'm organized. I think I'm very organized with my money. But in other areas, it could be a little questionable. My husband would say my car is definitely not organized.
Ooh, okay. I have a tip for that. So remind me to tell you that. But being organized, the definition of it is super simple. It's knowing what you have and being able to find it when you need it. And if you're in a household or if you're in an office and you share things with other people, it's knowing what you have and being able for everyone to find when they need it, find it when they need it.
Ooh, that's so good. And it's so simple. So
simple.
Maybe I am organized. I don't know.
Yes. I think people are more organized than they think because we think it looks like all the pictures on Instagram that are color coded and decanted into containers. And it's so much work to do that. But yes, it looks so beautiful. And so then we compare ourselves to that and we're like, oh, I'm not organized. But if you know what you have and you can find it when you need it, it doesn't have to look a certain way. So I just think there's so much freedom in that. And I think then we can look for the evidence in our life where we are organized. And for you, I'm so interested because you said you feel very organized in your money. What makes you feel organized in your money?
Because I know what I have and I can get to it whenever I need it.
Isn't that cool? And so what other
Yes.
ways, or how can we take those same things that you've done with money and put those into the areas where maybe you're feeling like you're not as organized?
Yeah, that's so good. I'm a pen and paper kind of person, and so I
Mm.
love to write. It just helps to solidify things. So I feel like I have papers everywhere with
Yes.
notes.
Yes.
And I really want to be the person that uses Google Docs for everything, but I'm just not. And so I think that is probably one of the reasons why I think that, I'm not. But I don't know. Maybe that's a conversation for another day.
No, I think we should have that conversation really quick because I'm
Okay.
totally a pen and paper person too. So for some things, I've made myself. Like it's when I switched to, this was a while back, but when I switched to a digital calendar, I ended up having to throw my calendar in the trash, like transfer everything over and then throw it in the trash so that I would actually change my habit because it's just a habit. And I'm a pen and paper person, is a thought you're thinking. So, of course, that's the result you're going to create. So there are tips. And so for me, I take notes on my computer only because I want to be able to find them when I need them. And I don't want to
Mm.
have all that extra paper. But sometimes I always have, well, not sometimes, I always have a notepad over here so that I can jot notes down. But what my system is then is to grab all those little scraps or right on my desk and then put them where they're supposed to go after a couple days. At the end of the day, I don't have a hard and fast rule with that, but I know I have everything that I've jotted down right here and I know it needs to go somewhere permanently so that I can find it and so I don't feel, spinning and like, oh my gosh, where
Mhm.
did I write that? How are all these notes over here? What do I need to do next? So that I just have some order with it.
I love that. And now that you say that, I do kind of have a little system. So I'm always out and about and I get ideas like for the podcast, for my clients while I'm driving. And so now instead of trying to pull over and write, a note on a piece of paper, I just talk into my notes on my
Yes.
phone and then it's there because you know how sometimes you have these amazing ideas and then the
Yes.
next moment you're like, oh, what was that? I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. So,
Well,
and I
and
do like what you're saying about just having a dedicated notebook. I have done that, a dedicated notebook, and then maybe once a week on Friday, just transfer the things that are important to me that I want to keep onto a Google Doc. That can
yeah.
help
Or
for sure.
into your calendar or into
Mhm.
your idea tracker. I have a client that she was doing the same thing, taking notes in all the different places. And we set her up with the idea tracker. That's a dashboard I have. And you put every single idea in there and it's organized by the tabs. It's a Google Sheet. So it's organized by the tabs at the bottom. So now when she's out walking or something, she puts it in her idea tracker in the right tab. And so it's always there where she can find it. So she has ideas for her podcast down there. She has, different books she wants to read, things she wants to buy, courses she wants to take, and all of them are in one place. So it's the same thing. And it's just building that habit of getting into making sure you do it that way. You'll still probably jot some notes down sometimes, but when you have
Mhm.
that, I love having just a clipboard with a notepad, and that is my one place I will write something down and then I know. The other thing you said that I love is that you have, oh, I do have a system. And we all have systems. And sometimes we think they need to look like someone else's, but when we just
Yeah.
stop and think, okay, what is my system? How do I take care of that? Maybe I do want to change a few things with it to tweak it to make it more efficient or something, but look at what your system is before thinking you need to scrap everything or thinking you don't have a system because everyone does.
Yes. And I just want to coach myself a little bit back to my whole I'm a pen and paper kind of person. This is what we do to ourselves. We put ourselves in boxes, right?
Yes.
And a lot of us thinking of this podcast, people who listen, you are telling yourself a story that, oh, I'm just not good with money or I'm just a spender. I can't save. Those are thoughts that we kind of take on and they become our identity. And
Mhm.
so I have identified myself as a pen and paper kind of girl. And that's not a bad identity. I love doing my monthly spending plan on pen and paper, but I keep them in a binder and I have them for the whole year. I can always refer back. I love that. I don't want to change that. But some areas I do want to change, but I'm going to have to let go of that identity of being a pen and paper kind of girl.
I love that you see that in this situation and you see it in your clients with money. The
Yes.
correspondence of that. And we all have that, right? We all have some area where we've identified ourselves as something. So that's such a good example.
Yes. That was such good coaching from both ends. And we weren't even planning to go there that quick, but we did. So let's go ahead and start talking about how organization can affect different areas of your life. Of course, we want to start with money, but we're going to go even deeper. We're going to talk about time. We're going to talk about food, your mindset, all the things. And so let's just start with money. How can organization help people build wealth? What is your opinion with that, Tracy?
I think it all comes down to reducing decision fatigue in our mind. And so organization, the concept that I start with is the wonderful one. It's the power of one place, of one system, of one, even one coach, of one location. I mean, anytime you can reduce down to one, it's going to help your brain know what's going on and not be spinning. So when it comes to money, if you have one plan and it's clear, if you have one location that you keep, like you said, you keep your financial stuff in a binder, you always know where it is. And you probably know when you go over it. So you have one appointment on your calendar, like all those things, when you can use the power of one to deal with something, it's helping you initially. So that's organization right there. You've decided and dedicated the power of one in that situation.
You mentioned the phrase decision fatigue. Can you share what that means? I don't think I've ever really gone deep into that on the podcast.
Oh, yes. Decision fatigue. Our mind has so many options and spends so much time. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I switch to that? Should I put my finances in this? Should I do the envelope system? Should I do, like so many options that we end up spinning in that for a long time and our brain just gets tired. So then we end up giving up or putting it away for the day, the time, the month, instead of saying, okay, this is what I've decided. This is what I do. And it just becomes so much easier.
Yes. When we can eliminate the constant decision making in our lives, we free up our brains to be so much more creative and efficient. So for instance, in my world, I suggest that you sit down at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month and decide ahead of time what you want to do with your money, what you're going to do, how much you're going to save, how much you're going to pay off on your debts, all the things. And so you're sitting down and making decisions for that month just one time. And then all you have to do is follow through. And you set yourself up for success because your brain is not going to get tired of having to think about money because you've already thought about it. You've already made your decisions. And now all you have to do is follow through with them. That is beautiful. You could transfer that to so many other areas of your life. We're going to talk about food. So can we talk about how that could play out with maybe grocery shopping and meal planning and things like that?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking of this in myself. When I have a plan for my food, I eat so much better rather than lunch comes around and I'm like, oh, my body wants this junk food. Maybe I should eat that really fast, or I've waited too long. All that chatter, all those decisions. When I just decide ahead of time, this is my plan, I do so well when I have a plan. And even you think about organization in your kitchen, when you have things organized, it's better for your health. You know where it is. You're not wasting time. You're not, getting distracted. You can find things quickly and it just makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. So when we do make those decisions ahead of time, I like to say we're letting our prefrontal cortex be in charge of our money, our food, our time, all the things when we sit down and decide ahead. But when we just make decisions in the moment, just like Tracy said, if you're hungry, for lunch and you're out and about and you haven't decided what you're going to have ahead of time, you already know you're going through the drive-through. Your primitive brain is now in charge, and it's all about efficiency, pleasure, and it just wants some dopamine at that point. But if you would have decided maybe the night before, like, okay, for lunch, I'm having this, this, and this, and you already have it in your car, or you already know which restaurant you're going to, then it cuts down on the decisions and you just follow through with what you said, and you actually end up making better decisions for yourself. Same with when you're grocery shopping. When you plan ahead before you go in the store, you buy better things and you save money because you're not just picking up every little thing. You already know exactly what you need to buy.
Yeah. And that's the money part of it is big. So you cut out the drive-through, you cut out the, walking down the aisle and picking something up, but also the waste. I mean, I always think about the waste in your fridge. If you don't have a plan, you just buy stuff and then it goes to waste. So just that money too. And your health. I mean, it affects your health too. So that planning is the part of it that is needed.
Yes, yes. So back to your original definition, knowing what you have and being able to find it, but then also being able to plan ahead and make those decisions ahead of time. Love it. Any other tips on like grocery shopping? I know that's a big deal, especially with prices the way they are, to help people streamline their groceries, but also potentially save money in the process. Do you have any other organization tips?
Whatever makes it fun. I think, if you're the type of person that is routine and you want to have the same thing certain days of the week, or if you want to think of, okay, I'm going to have beef on Monday, I'm going to have vegetarian meal on Tuesday, whatever that looks like, how can you make it fun? And how can you make it easy? So getting on a meal plan that you pay for $5 a month or whatever they go for now, that makes it easy. You don't even have to follow everything, but that might make it easier for you. So fun and easy and being creative in it. Organization, sometimes people think it sounds like rules, it sounds hard, or they may think that they're not made like that their brain doesn't work like that. But kind of flip it and just say, how can this process be creative and easy and fun for me? And that is also using organization in a way that fits with you, the way that motivates you or makes it interesting for you.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Okay. So we talked about money. We talked about food, organizing those two things. How about time? Any tips there?
Well, let's go into the 5 steps, because I think that really helps with time. It helps with all these areas, but let's go into the 5 steps. I've had this acronym for 16 years since I started organizing people, and it's the word SPASM, SPASM. And I think it's kind of goofy, but I love it because it's goofy enough that people will remember it. That I think of our closets in our homes having spasms because they're so full. And then I also think when you're having your muscles twitching, you're going to think about organizing in these steps. And you can use these steps for every single thing. So if your mind is spinning and you're feeling overwhelmed, use these steps. If you're planning a project, if you're wanting to organize your time, or for sure, any space in your home, even your money. So the first step is to sort. So you're going to sort into categories like with like. So when you think about time, even, you would sort, what are all the things I need to do? How much time do I have? Where am I volunteering? You could just put what do my kids need? How much time do I need to spend on this? All those different categories, you just get it all out of your head and write it down. Then purge. Now that you have everything sorted, you really know what you have. So you go back through each pile or each category and you purge. And in the purge process, I always like to give the tip, choose your favorites. do the favorites method. And I used to start doing this for just for the kids. Like it's easy for kids if you see a pile of toys, like what is your favorite? What do you play with all the time? It's easy for them to choose that. But then I'm like, adults are exactly the same way. It's easy for you to pick, like, what do I love volunteering at? And I don't want to give it up. So you would circle that, or you would choose those things that are your favorites. Then I like to look at anything you can delegate. Is there anything on your list you can delegate? Is there anything you can delay? Like maybe you've written down some projects, but there, you have company coming in town this month. There's no way you're going to do that. So delay it till next month. So delegate, delay. Maybe you just delete it. You're going to donate that. You're going to delete that item from your list. So delegate, delay, delete, and then things you're going to do for sure. So those things would be on the top. So sort, purge, and then assign homes. Now things need homes. And this is kind of the puzzle. This is the fun part where you get to logically make it work. So if we're thinking about items, let's say in our kitchen, we can group like with like. When you think about your calendar, that's kind of like time blocking or batching things that are alike together. You can also, you want to put things that are most used in the most accessible spaces. So as you think through where is the home for this, you're going to put things into their home. On your calendar, the home for tasks that you want to do for time would be your calendar. You're going to assign an appointment on your calendar. That's the home for that task. So sort, purge, assign homes, and then set limits. Now, this is the step that everyone wants to do first. They want to go out and buy cute containers. They need a new planner. They need a new binder. They need all these things, a new piece of furniture. But don't do this step until you get to this step. So you want to wait, and then the set limits. The reason I call it setting limits is because it holds the spot for this category. And then when it goes over, you have to go back through the steps. You have to go back through sort, purge, and assign home. You may keep it in the same spot, but you have to go back through. So it's setting a limit and it's containing things together. And then the last step is to maintain. Everything takes maintenance. Money, managing your money, the garden, laundry, our health, working out, it all takes maintenance. And so the key to maintaining is to tie it to something that you already do. So like taxes, everyone does taxes, hopefully once a year. And so tie going through your file cabinet or your paperwork to your taxes and just add another hour on there. Make sure you get that done during that time. Or seasons change. And so you would tie maintenance of your closet onto that, or you might tie it onto when you do laundry and you're putting clothes away, you might, make sure everything's put away. Or the other thing that just came out, when your cleaning person comes, you go in and you straighten things up. That's kind of like tying the maintenance of putting things where they need to go. So those are the 5 steps: sort, purge, assign homes, set limits, and maintain.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. I hope you all got that. And if you didn't, rewind it because that was amazing. So you can apply this to every area of your life, your home, your time, your money, your kitchen. I mean, just so many areas. That was so good. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. And even a project. And so like if they're new working with you and they're working with, okay, what do I do with my money? You can break down a project same way and write down all the steps that are included in a project. So you organize a project as well as all the other areas you mentioned.
So good. So good. Okay. So the one area, I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, but not explicitly, is mindset. How do we organize our mind? I mean, honestly, that's the most important thing that needs to be organized, right? So what do you say about that?
Well, that's where whenever you notice your mind spinning, just stop and sit down and do the organizing steps. So you're going to sort all those thoughts out onto paper. And as you're doing it, you can sort just by writing them all down in a row and then go back through and sort them. So you would sort, here's a thought, here's a fact. You could sort by thoughts and facts, or you could sort into categories. So sometimes when my mind is spinning, it's because I feel disorganized with what I have to do. So I start by sorting into business tasks, personal tasks, errands I need to run, phone calls or computer work that I need to do. So sort into those categories like that. But then you go back through and you purge. And you kind of do the same thing. So if you're just doing mindset, your head is spinning, you're feeling a lot of different thought, thinking a lot of different
Anxious,
thoughts.
overwhelmed, all the
Yes.
things. Yeah.
Yes. So you can go back and you can look at each thought. Do I want to keep that thought? Do I want to delete that thought? Do I want to, make adjustments to that thought? So that's the purge category or step. And then you can assign homes. And have you heard like, okay, 3:00 today, I'm going to spend time thinking about these thoughts, all these thoughts that make me feel anxious. I'm going to categorize, like contain those thoughts. And even, that would be so fun to try out. I'm going to come back at 3 and I'm going to read all these anxious thoughts and think about that, but I'm putting them in that category. So you're assigning a home to that, or you're assigning a home to the thoughts that you've kept that you really want to practice and focus on. And maybe your home is at the top of every hour. You're going to practice thinking that thought that you want to find evidence for and believe and work on. And then setting limits. So that kind of is in combination with that. Where is the limit? How much time are you going to spend on that? And then maintaining. Maybe you have a practice of doing that and you go back every morning and you work on your mindset. You download all the things out. You're emptying your mind, cleaning it out. And so that's how you put these steps into place with even your mindset, your thoughts.
Yes, that is so good. I love the idea of letting your anxious thoughts be there, but saying, hey, I'm not going to think about you until 3:00. I can imagine how calm you will feel because your brain wants to think about all the things, right? All the things that are making you anxious because your brain thinks those things are important.
Right.
And if you're like, brain, I hear you, we're going to think about them at 3 and it'll just calm you down. I know that for me, when I as my time like that, if I know I have a lot to do, but I've told myself, okay, on Tuesday, I'm dealing with this thing. It just calms me down. And every time my brain wants to think about it, I'm like, nope, remember Tuesday. We're dealing with this on Tuesday at 4:00. And then I don't have to think about it in the moment and up until that time.
Yeah. And there again, that's reducing decision fatigue, right? Because you're not you've assigned a home to that thought, that task, that project.
Yes. And even with your money, if you take me up on, scheduling one day a month, if it's at the very beginning of the month or at the very end of the month, either one works. And just saying, I'm not thinking about money until that day because I've already thought about it. I've already decided what I'm doing for 30 days. And now I don't have to think about it. All I have to do is follow through with what I said I was going to do. And I don't have to think about it again until that day.
It's so much freedom.
Yes.
That is organization. That's what organization brings to you, brings to your life. And you can look at that. Do you do the wheel of life? Like you can look at that in, your self-esteem. I mean, look at how disorganization, people beat themselves up over and over for being disorganized or their dreams. They're not reaching their dreams and goals because they don't have that organized finances and your home and health and all the others.
Yes, so good. I love this. This conversation was amazing. It was, I think, short, sweet, to the point, but so impactful. Do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, the other thing that I had taken notes on earlier is just the paper. We did a quarterly project in my Organized Life Academy where we created a death binder. That's what we called it, just because fun name. But it's so fun. You're teaching your kids this kind of stuff too. So our kids all know now that since I've done that project, that everything is in the death binder, which is in a fireproof bag in my closet that has everything in it. And when they know when they need it, that they go to that one location. If they need their passport, they go to that location, and so you're training your kids too by example of that. So just important documents. It's not, where is that? Is it over here? Did I put it over here? Is it in this random drawer? It's like, nope, all important documents go into the death binder. That's another example of organization, and also how it affects the people in your family.
For sure. I love that, having all of your important documents in a fireproof bag. That's so good.
Yeah.
Or you can do a fireproof safe if you want.
Yes, for sure. The other thing I want to just mention is no matter what your brain type, if you're neurodivergent, if you have ADHD, if you're missing executive functions, this is all available to you as well. And so I know that a lot of people with that have spent a lot of time in their life having people tell them that they're the messy one or they're the, it's again goes back to that identity. But as you take each little step and you break it down and you practice in one tiny area and you're training your brain to filter that information, it's so helpful. And so don't, if you're out there listening and you're like, I'm not that type of person, there may be, have more thought that works with that. It's totally possible for you too. And it may look different, and that's great, but it's still possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for that situation, I love to just think of, if you have a diagnosis, like, okay, the diagnosis is real. It is a fact. And then just ask the question, so how can I make this work for me? Right. Instead of thinking this won't work for me or this can't work for me. It's just like, how can I make this work for me? And it just will, again, it will open up your beautiful brain to give you answers, because your brain loves to give you answers to your questions.
Yes. Okay. And I have to come back to the car.
Okay. So, Thank you.
Yes. So thinking of the maintenance step in keeping your car organized. So obviously you go through the same steps: sort, purge, assign homes to things in places in your car, and then contain. Maybe that requires you to get a container for something. But then the maintenance step: always maintain your car when you go get gas. So anytime you're at the gas station, that's where you pull out the trash. The other place is when the gas is going in, you have 2 minutes or whatever, 3 minutes to go around and clean out your car. Then the other thing is when I pull into my garage. Now, I know everybody doesn't have a garage, but if you do and you pull into it, that's the other place. I always clean everything out, and I have a trash can right near where my car is, and I throw trash away and then I go into the house. But I always clean everything out. So it's kind of like, it's just become such a habit. And when my kids were little, even at the gas station, I'd be like, everybody get trash. Like that was their job when we pulled into the gas station. Wherever they were seated in the car, they got all the stuff and gathered it up. So how can you tie maintenance to things that already happen in your life in any area?
That's so good. And you're going to laugh at me because I do that.
Oh, well, good for you.
Every time I go to the gas station, I literally walk around the entire car and I get it all out. So
so you're doing it. You're organized.
More organized than I'm telling. See, everybody, a lot of times the things we tell ourselves are not even true. They're just not even true. I even have a little container of wet wipes, and I usually wipe down while I'm sitting.
Oh my,
but I do that while I'm going through the car wash. Like that's my car wash thing. So while I'm driving through the car wash, I'm washing the inside of the car. So see, you know what? I need to stop being so hard on myself.
Yes. And that's my goal. That's my challenge for everyone, is to be thinking about and find evidence today, right now, when you're listening to this, in one area of your life where you are organized, where you have something tied to maintenance, where you have used any of those steps. Find evidence that you have and keep finding that evidence every day.
That's the perfect place to end today's episode. And so, Tracy, I'm sure everybody wants to know how to stay connected to you. Please give us all the details.
Yes. So I have had the Organized Life Academy. This is my 4th year. I'm finishing up my 4th year of that. And I've made it a year program where, we meet monthly. We have calls every month. We have a mindset focus. This year, we really focused on decluttering. So we had a declutter calendar. Next year, I'm kind of excited. I'm going to do routines. We're going to focus on routines. And so anybody is welcome to that. And then I also have Organized Coach Academy, which focuses on helping online business owners and coaches organize their business. And so I have those two things. And I also work one-on-one with people. And I have the Organized Coach podcast. So if you're a coach or business owner, you'll love listening to that podcast where we talk about organizing your business.
Awesome. And all of those links will be in the show notes so you can connect with Tracy. So Tracy, thank you so much. This was so informative. I received so much value from this myself. I'm so glad we did this. I no longer think of myself as not being organized because I am. And I'm letting that thought go.
Yeah, your new identity. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you all have a wonderful week and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, before you go, if you're ready to create a life with more money and more freedom, then you're invited to join the Wealthy Woman's Academy, my signature coaching program where you'll learn how to take control of your money and build wealth without sacrificing your lifestyle. To get started, head on over to jermainefoley.com/WWA. That's Jermaine with a G. See you over there. Bye-bye.